We first see the protesters and demonstrators outside of a government building at the opening of the film. They had congregated there in opposition to their corrupt governor, Sandro Correa, who was accused of stealing public funds. The governor hides under a table, where a masked man discovers him as the populace throws objects and stones at the structure. The next scene shows some DAE force members getting ready and armed. They arrive at a building later that instant where a man was drinking his coffee. Governor Sandro was that person. He was detained and brought to their main office's questioning room after being arrested. Their fellow police applaud Edu and Miguel for successfully capturing the dishonest governor. In the interrogation room, they informed him that they had proof of his fraud and theft of public funds. The governor tells them he will continue to execute everyone who tries to expose his crimes or wrongdoing. Even hiring the officer is something he tries to do to avoid being charged. After a while, the governor's lawyer showed up as he was enjoying a nice lunch. He discussed his connections with the district attorney's office. He promised him that he would be let out of custody soon. He warned him that during the investigation, he might be placed under house arrest. The commander of the DAE calls a brief meeting and informs the participants that the proof supporting Governor Correa's theft of the health budget is insufficient. He made the decision to let him be under house arrest and go home as a result. Following that, Miguel and his companion leave the workplace. When Miguel went to see his daughter, she was waiting for him on the road with her mother. To bring their daughter to the football game, they were waiting there. Miguel shows up there carrying a t-shirt for his daughter. She becomes animated. While her mother shoots pictures, he assists her in donning her shirt. Miguel then drives her away in a cab. Upon noticing the traffic jam, they exit the vehicle. His daughter was hit by a blind shot as they were crossing the street to get to the stadium. She began to bleed. Miguel hurried his daughter to the emergency room of the hospital for quick medical attention. When they arrived at the hospital, the physicians removed Miguel's daughter Alice right away and told him to wait outside while they took her to the emergency department. Miguel waits impatiently there before entering. In the hospital hallway, he frequently notices dangerous patients lying open and neglected. When he saw these people and the shoddy medical facilities, he was astounded. He discovered his daughter Alice at that same time, unmoving in front of the surgery room. He asks the doctor why they haven't taken her to the operating room, and the doctor responds that there weren't many operating rooms at the hospital, so many people had to wait their turn. Alice's pulse slowly ceased, and she passed away after significant bleeding and a delay in care. After a while, Alice's mother ex-wife arrived Miguel's at the hospital and was horrified to discover that her young daughter had passed away. The governor was freed from detention in the following scene after receiving bail due to insufficient evidence. In the following scene, he approaches the microphone and declares that he will be running for president. He promises to improve funding for public hospitals and the healthcare industry. He affirms his commitment to enhancing public welfare. On the flip side, Miguel thinks back on his daughter as he runs through the streets. He believes that the poor hospital facilities contributed to the death of his daughter. Miguel believes that if the medical community had access to better hospital facilities and equipment, his daughter might have been saved. According to him, sufferers shouldn't be overlooked or disregarded. Running by a store, he saw the news that Governor Correa had been released from jail and had not been found guilty of any wrongdoing or theft of health funds. Miguel's rage and frustration with the system only grew. He then made his way past the protesters gathered outside the government building before launching an enraged attack on the officers. He is wearing a mask there while the police shoot tear gas at him. He defeated numerous police officers who were defending the building since, as we all know, he was a trained special forces soldier. He ascends the structure and walks inside. In order to enter the chamber where the governor was hiding, he kills one of the governor's bodyguards. He is killed as a result of his relentless punching. The following day, Miguel reports to work, and the head of the DAE urges him and the other DAE members to look into any protesters who may have taken part in the demonstration. He informs them that the investigating team was successful in apprehending a number of suspects who were thought to be the protest's organizers. Miguel met this woman at the rally where he was hitting the policeman, therefore it appears that he knew one of the women suspects. The female in the room is asked by Miguel. She introduces herself as Nina and explains that she is a programmer. Additionally, Nina admits to him that she is aware that Miguel was the one who attacked the cops, and she further claims to have a recording of his activities on her iPhone. He checks her phone in the evidence room. He discovered that she was correct. Miguel is left with no options, so he ultimately releases her. Miguel discovers Nina's apartment's address and visits it at night after reviewing the video and what happened in his flat. He discovered her going down the street. Nina hands him the Governor Correa's laptop and offers to assist Miguel in looking into a case of medical equipment and finances being stolen from a hospital. Correa won't be able to complete this task alone, according to Miguel at this time. Miguel discovered crucial details regarding the individuals involved in the embezzlement case after Nina broke into Correa's personal laptop. She reveals to him the politician profiles who took part in this corruption. Then, after getting ready, Miguel went for the corrupt politicians and government employees who were also in charge of theft and corruption in the health department. Miguel kills them all while concealing himself with the same mask. The news of the repeated murders of politicians quickly went viral. Then Miguel went to Nina at work and urged her to track down the sponsors who were paying for these dishonest officials' campaigns. Nina declines, but Miguel offers to commute Nina's mother's prison sentence. After some time, Nina visits her mother and inquires about the importance of truth. In response, her mother says the truth is merely an illusion because what is true for one person may not be the same as what is true for another. In the following scene, Nina discovers the identities of the sponsors of those dishonest politicians, Gomez himself. When Gomez arrives to see Minister Regina in a building, Nina takes control of the security camera system there. On the day of the governor's passing, Edu was in the main office looking through the files of the suspects. Finding Nina's profile, he was able to determine that Minister Marta Regina was the next person the mysterious figure known only as the Awakener intended to attack. Edu attempts to phone Miguel to let him know about this, but is unable to do so. He then departs on his own and heads for the minister's office. There, he encounters the man with the mask. After pursuing Miguel, Edu shoots him. Nina checks to Miguel's injuries as soon as he arrives. The following day, Miguel and Edu reported what they had learned about Minister Regina's cooperation with Antero Gomez. Gomez was the one who had contributed money to the corrupt authorities' political campaign. Miguel and Edu made the decision to look into Minister Regina, although their chief disapproved of every finding. The individual added that they ought to halt their inquiry of Minister Regina. Miguel is displeased by this choice and decides to kill Gomez using his own hands. Once there, he was spotted enjoying dinner with numerous other officials. He eventually arrived to the Gomez residence. Gomez's son was also present, meeting with his mother and expressing concern that he wasn't prepared to serve as president. Gomez showed up and consoled his son. Miguel, however, purposefully kills Gomez's son in order to force Gomez to recognize and own his guilt. Gomez, however, took advantage of his son's passing to win support from the public and announce his candidacy for the presidency. A mysterious man is seen in a car in the meantime, and it turns out that he is Antero Gomez's private spy, who was looking into the deaths of his co-workers. Siqueira was his name. He is being directly recruited by Gomez to look into the killings. He learned that the murderer was not acting alone. And based on his calculations, he concludes that the companion of the Awakener is Nina's boss. He eventually put that man to death. When Nina gets to work, she discovers that her boss has passed away. She quickly left the area and made her way over to Miguel's house. Siqueira and his men, who were after Nina, arrive there as well when she does. They strike Miguel's hiding place right away. While shielding her from the gunfire, Miguel commands Nina to leave the area. The following scene shows Miguel donning his mask and beginning to murder the followers. Siqueira was able to kidnap Nina while he was engaged in combat with one of his men. He made a bargain with Miguel to keep Nina alive. Siqueira gave Miguel the order to attack Julia Machado, a rival presidential contender. Miguel concurs. The police eventually showed up at Miguel's house. The location of the Awakener's hiding place is discovered by Edu and his team. Edu was even more shocked to learn that the Awakener was none other than his best buddy and co-worker Miguel. Knowing that, they looked into the area and learned that Gomez is the target of the Awakener. Rushing to the site of the presidential candidate discussion was Edu and his staff. Miguel goes to kill Julia there as well. Miguel arrived at the place of the argument and was getting ready to murder Julia. When Edu showed up, he instantly stopped him. Both of them engage into a heated argument. Edu orders Miguel to stop, but Miguel ignores him and carries on. His conversations didn't matter to him. However, Nina, who was being kept against her will by Sikara, fought back and eventually managed to gravely hurt Sikara. Miguel is subsequently detained for the murder of dishonest officials. Edu then summoned Miguel's ex-wife in an effort to convince him. His ex-wife claimed that their kid would feel ashamed of her father after learning about Miguel's recent actions of vigilantism. Miguel discovers that Antero Gomez won the elections while he is still incarcerated. As Deputy Diaz, one of Miguel's superiors, arrives to question him, he makes an attempt to murder Miguel. However, Miguel was able to get away and murder that man. As Gomez and his fellow politicians were celebrating Gomez's victory after he managed to defeat Julia in the results, Miguel breaks out of jail, gathers his guns and ammo, and hurries to the Parliament building. Miguel launched an immediate assault on the legislative building, killing all of Gomez's men and co-workers. When he finally confronts Gomez in his office, he informs Miguel that since greed is a fundamental human characteristic, corruption will not go away from the world. Miguel killed Gomez with a shot. Miguel was held at gunpoint by Gomez's men after Gomez was killed. However, Miguel has a backup plan. He already had a bomb ready and had it secured in his car. When Miguel depressed the explosive trigger, the structure burst into flames, raising Miguel inside along with it. Miguel's body was not present at the crime scene when the rescuers, police, and forensics team arrived the following day. They only discovered the Awakener's mask. The movie ends here. Thank for watching.